In 2019, Good Omens premiered on Amazon Prime Video to universal acclaim. Written by everyone's favourite writer, Neil Gaiman, and based on his book of the same name, the 6-part series followed Michael Sheen's Aziraphale and David Tennant's Crowley, an angel and demon who are out to stop Armageddon. Series 1 was so much fun and rich with lore, and in a world where expanded universes are the biggest thing, I really felt like Good Omens justified a returning series or even a spin-off. It's sort of Harry Potter vibes, except it's actually written by, a good person. It's got fantasy, romance, and a whole bunch of hallmarks from Gaiman's previous works, including some gothic imagery and quirky dialogue. So when I heard that Good Omens was renewed for a season 2, I was fully on board, despite it having already completed the source material story in season 1. But maybe I should have been a little bit more hesitant. This is why Good Omens season 2 was almost bad, but I kind of enjoyed the ride, But before we get into that, why not consider subscribing to my channel? My name is Aidan Green, and I talk about movies and TV every single week. I love it, I breathe it, and you can too if you subscribe to the channel or help a brother out by liking the video. Anyways, enough of that, let's get on with the show. Good Omens 2's greatest success is also its biggest flaw. Let me get this clear, Neil Gaiman is 100% one of the best writers of our time. He's innovative, a bit soppy, and bloody funny, and that's something that I can get around. Good Omens 2 sees a co-writing partnership between him and John Finnemore, and the usual comedy ensues. It's funny. It's really funny. It keeps being funny. Oh look, another funny scene. That's good banter. Wow, Gaiman was getting a little bit too silly here. Oh, episode 1 is nearly done? Yeah, that was funny. Funny's good, right? People like funny, but where's the plot? That was pretty much my reaction when watching the first episode of Good Omens 2, and that carried over most of the show. It's funny, okay, Gaiman, I get it. You're a funny guy. I have no doubt that this sort of writing will find a massive audience, and that's great. If that's you, love that for you. But this is all about me. The plot is as thin as, well, it's almost non-existent at times. Early on, I could tell that maybe Gaiman was being a little too indulgent with his writing. It's very Stephen Moffat-y when he was getting a little too confident writing Doctor Who. Confidence is good, but sometimes you need something to bring you back down to earth. The comedy takes away from the gravity of almost every tense situation in the first 5 episodes. It's almost impossible to feel the stakes, and everything just feels like the setup for a joke. There were also so many scenes that ran way too long just because of how many jokes were crammed into it. I got to the end of episode 1 and felt like the plot had hardly really advanced from the 10-minute mark, which did make me feel that perhaps this may have worked a little bit better as a 4-part series or even a feature-length special. That being said, I laughed a decent amount while watching it, though a lot of the jokes did fall flat on me. The Nazi zombie stuff was hilarious. In fact, that entire episode, I think it was episode 4, was so devilishly good. But every 10 minutes, I did sort of have to sit back and go, what are we doing here? Like, what, in the grand scheme of Good Omens 2, is the point of this scene? Just so much stuff felt unnecessary and more like a series of SNL sketches instead of a limited series. But the finale did something that saved that for me. Not fully, but it did make me think maybe that was all worth it. Maybe, just maybe, that was the point of this entire series. Things are going to get a little spoilery from now on, so if you've not seen the Good Omens 2 finale, get the heck out of here and come back when you have. Thanks. I would be lying if I said I wasn't moved by the finale. The emotional weight of Aziraphale's decision and Crowley's realization completely caught me off guard, and for once, these characters had a jokeless conversation, which made the stakes of the scene all the more higher. I don't think this should excuse 5 episodes of often nonsense conversations, but it did make me think that Gaiman was quite clever with how he mapped the season out. These two boys get up to all sorts of shenanigans throughout the show. They're constantly just taking the piss and never really being real with each other, and Gaiman addresses that. That's the whole point of Good Omens 2, for our unlikely duo to sit down and realize that they actually need to have a good conversation from time to time. Maybe there's a romantic future there, or maybe just a friendship, but shenanigans can't go on forever, and Gaiman points that out in the two's final interaction for the season. Like I said, I still struggle with the first 5 episodes. It's definitely clunky and could have been told in a much more streamlined way, but at least there's some payoff to the madness, and I was genuinely emotional for it. Beyond that, Good Omens 2 is genuinely pretty good. David Tennant and Michael Sheen are one of the funniest on-screen duos of all time. I kept comparing the nonsense conversations they were having to their comedy in the lockdown show Stage, which kind of proves that you probably don't need to have a massive $1 million project to convey what Gaiman was trying to convey. Either way, watching these two strut around saves those pointless scenes and adds so much to the show. You can tell that Gaiman really knows how to write for these actors, and that works, even if, like I said, maybe it's a little too confident at times. And shout out to John Hamm and the entire supporting cast, really. They're so much fun. I don't remember if Hell was on screen in season 1, I think it was. But either way, I love when the show spends time down there. The production design is so unique and spooky and gross and just Neil Gaiman down to a T. Give me a Hell-based spin-off. I'm here for it. There is one other thing that I didn't really like about Good Omens 2, and I kind of hate to complain about it because, you know, times were tough. They could only do what they could do, and I'm just gonna say it. COVID-19, remember that bad boy? Well, it's still impacting shows we're seeing to this very day. Season 2 is definitely a COVID baby. There's a lot less characters, extras are often limited, location shoots are scarce, with a much more of a priority to having a small number of people on set. Usually the bookshop, that set gets so much action, and that's definitely a COVID thing. I wouldn't have a problem with this if there wasn't a couple of COVID jokes in the show. They really just pointed out to me that this was a COVID baby. There's scenes where there should have been a million demons or whatever, and they tried a little too hard to make jokes about why we can't see them. It sucks to complain about, but I really think I wouldn't have noticed this stuff if they hadn't kind of pointed it out themselves. The result is a smaller scale season 2, which isn't really a bad thing, but if they had used the smaller scale to focus more on Aziraphale and Crawley's character work, other than just in the finale, I think it would have been a whole lot better. Anyways, Good Omens 2 is a fun, disjointed, surprisingly romantic good time. You definitely can't go into it expecting the fantastic story and lore building of the first series, but it sets up a character-driven season 3, which I'm on board with. It's amazing just how much the finale redeemed the season for me, and yes, there's an argument there that without the nonsense that came before, maybe I wouldn't have cared as much when the plot got real. Anyways, that's my thoughts on Good Omens 2. Like I said, my name is Aidan Green. Please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, and I'll see you in another video sometime soon. Goodbye.